Rain or shine, it's low back ability time. Decided to call this podcast Low Back Ability, and not with the back breakthroughs, keep it simple. So, daily episode, topic of your choice. Neighbors already looked at me crazy. They're like, honey, that guy's out there dismantling old back misnomers. Should we call the police? So, we might have to speed it up. All right, done trying to be a comedian. This is how often should I train the low back? This is a question that was submitted to me on Instagram. I think it's super important to understand the factors that go into this, right? So, number one, let's get clear. 3 points. Number one is, where are you starting off at? And this will determine the whole pace of your training and how often to train, how much recovery you'll need. So, first, if you're coming from a place of pain, please know that your training will be different than someone who has never had back pain. They will be able to pick up stuff so much quicker without any hesitation or fear, and they'll recover better. And if you're currently in pain, this may have to be a more frequent but gentle approach. So my overall advice would always to be start more gentle, start more often, and then see what you can return from and tolerate. Live to see another training day, and then you could ramp up the intensity. So practically what that might look like is, if you're in pain, that would be like training 3 times a week. Monday, Wednesday, Friday is the approach I take with my online members. And once you reach a point where you're out of pain and now you're really training these qualities in full, not just getting out of sensitivity, not just trying to wake up muscles in the back and get some joint strength through the different parts of the back, but you're actually going for strength goals. You're actually going through deep ranges. That's when I started training twice a week with the back. And so, I could talk more about how, but let's just keep the frequency. So 3 times a week is a good place to start if you're just starting back extension holds, for example. The most gentle way to start putting some tension in the back, even if you're not ready for motion, right? And then once you're at twice a week, this is where we could start training some of those extension positions in an RDL or seated good morning. But then also another day of the week, we could do more deep ranges like back extensions and especially Jefferson curls. So building the different qualities now. And then if you're really not having issues with your back, you just want it to be a strength, you could give yourself a low back / glute hip day, right? You could blast the low back on Fridays like you do legs on Mondays or whatever your schedule is. And this requires the most recovery. This is a brutal soreness to walk around with the next day, but if you're a gym rat or an athlete and you just want to keep it super simple, you could in theory throw in multiple movements for the low back once a week. But that just requires the healthiest spine and the most practical life, because you're probably not going to want to go move a couch up your stairs or like grab a bunch of groceries the next day with a sore back. So first is just knowing where you're starting at and making sure it makes sense there. If this is your first time training the back, keep it very gentle, sprinkle it in microdose until we can make it real training. 2 is we have to understand we're training to the weakest link. So the back is interesting. When someone says train your back, what I mean when I say train the low back is everything from the outer muscles to the inner muscles to the joints, the ligaments and tendons within every little segment stacked on top of each other, and even stress on the bones, right? And so the back muscles themselves may recover like any muscle. You train a bicep through a normal range of motion, and it might need 24, 48 hours. Like it needs a day or two to recover. This is normal. But if you train the joint, elbow super far out or super short range, or think the knees, normal squats versus KOT squats, where we're throwing the knees way over the toe. As soon as we start training that strength, the amount of recovery, because we're hitting connective tissue, is not a day. It's more like 3. I use analogies a lot just to basically demystify the back, because if we can understand how that works in the knee, it's very similar this tissue-wise. So back muscles may be able to train, say the back extension is a more normal range. You get some flexion, but not super deep. And you get some time at the extension, but not a lot, right? And so where the joints get stressed the most are when they're super bent super, super, super bent, and then super locked out. The back extension kind of floats through the range a bit, but we're not super deep on the Jefferson curl and super time under tension in this lockout position. And so, like a C to good morning RDL. So if we're doing a back extension, you could do that twice, even 3 times a week. If you're going to train Jefferson curls, deep, deep ranges, C to good morning, super heavy, really taxing on the back, you're going to want to probably do that a max of twice a week. And that's being very back proactive compared to the most, right? So 3 I just want to share now is what I did wrong when I was training the back, which is I had no consistency in the true back's training, whether it was back extension, more muscle dominant, or it was Jefferson curls, C to good mornings, the more joint dominant versions. I didn't have any consistency. I dabbled because I treated it like normal ab training, normal core, which means you dabble and you end with it and a little here and there. I didn't treat it like one of the strongest parts of my body, which it should have been. So I had no consistency in my low back training, but I had hyper consistency of drills for my back. And this is where I only mention this because this will help you know how to manage your rest, how often to train. I was doing hangs, decompression every single day for my back. What I didn't understand is part of the reason it feels good is, yes, because it's separating every segment of the spine. It decompresses, which is the opposite of sitting through the day and existing in gravity compressing us. But what keeps your joints from just ripping apart in the spine? What keeps the spine from literally just pulling apart when you hang? It is all the connective tissue between all the segments of the spine. And so what happens if we just every day haphazardly train those joints, we stress those joints and ligaments in this direction, decompressing every single day, but we never deliberately got strength in those joints and ligaments and tendons through like a back extension, through back extension holds, right? So I had to put down a lot of the drills and the frequency of those and start to slowly, gradually increase my intentional building. Not just the passive stuff, not just every day doing press-ups. Those started to make sensitive areas relieved and then start to become hypersensitive where the relief didn't even work anymore. And it's because it lacked building. So we have to start to eventually shift out of PT mode where we're doing press-ups to get out of pain. It serves that purpose. But once it's really time, after a few weeks, we stabilize, we're good, we need to slowly build. We have to start very small and be frequent in another direction, building. And then the drills will be less and less, and then your intensity on the back exercises will be more and more. So 3 times a week, long answer, turn short, 3 times a week, twice a week, once a week. It really depends, your life, your back, what you can handle. If you train the back once a week, you're going to train it 52 times more than anyone during the year because we're just at that state of training in gym culture. So, yeah, just think about your journey. Are you in pain? Gentle, 3 times a week. Are you training hard and you want to push it? Twice a week is solid. Are you like getting ready for a show or a competition or some sort of sports event and you just have to go hard at it? Then once a week, and God bless, we're praying for you. But yeah, this is a great question. I'm going to just sign it off here. Get out of the hurricane. That's it.